Welcome to Low Bow Spark. This is meant to be a inspirational ADHD channel. However, you are free to tell and say anything you want. Anything. This is about you and your journey with ADHD. That's it.
Okay.
I only asked two questions. The first question is, what is your ADHD journey?
Okay.
How did it start? When were you diagnosed? All those kind of things. And then we just go off on tangents like ADHD people do. And then I conclude it at the end with another question. So, Mandy, thank you so much for doing this. I literally, Dorsey cannot stop raving about you. Like, she adores you. Like, so that's a good thing. But your journey.
Yeah, so I have two boys. They are, oh, this is so weird to say. They are 23 and 21. My 21-year-old just turned 21 yesterday.
Oh, goodness.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my oldest read like nonstop, like super early. My youngest struggled, and I knew, like, first of all, one had dark hair, one was blonde. So it was really easy not to compare them just on that difference.
Well, that's a blessing, a
Right?
little
Like,
bit.
it was easy. Like, but you couldn't confuse them. But like, we knew early on. I mean, we started, for those that don't know, Orton-Gillingham is a scientific-based way to support kids with dyslexia to learn to read. We were super lucky. I live in Minneapolis. We picked a school. I'm not Catholic. My ex-husband is. We looked out our kitchen windows at the school. It is a school that all of our K through fifth grade teachers were Orton-Gillingham trained. Total fluke. There were huge school districts where they had one in their entire school. So,
Wow.
like, talk about perfect timing, perfect place, those kind of things. He struggled. We started Orton-Gillingham before he started school. He wasn't diagnosed till second grade. They wouldn't give him
Still early.
right? Like, but he'd already had years of Orton-Gillingham. They wouldn't give him an ADHD diagnosis.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What is Orton-Gillingham? I'm sorry. I don't.
It's a method of teaching kids with dyslexia to read.
Okay.
So it's phonics based. It's
okay.
It's the whole thing.
Got it. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. They wouldn't give him an ADHD diagnosis because his dyslexia was so severe. They're like, he probably has it, but he can't sit in a classroom and read. He can't sit still. We can't tear it apart. So we keep going in school. He gets to be fourth grade and he's still struggling. We take him to see a psychiatrist, and my kiddo is like, this is my happy, this is my sad, and his arms are for the happy. He's like at like shoulder width for sad, as far as those little arms can go. And
sad.
I'm like, and so we have all these conversations, and the doctor's explaining, like, the intertwining even then of depression, anxiety, and ADHD. And when you struggle too much, it's going to make your ADHD worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, as a mom, figure out, like, am I okay with meds? Like, as so many people do for their kids, do I do this? And so, yeah.
God, you're passionate. You are so passionate. I love this.
And for me, it's like the best gift because I'm an ADHD certified coach. So to be able to have personally struggled and be able to tell parents, and I am like brutally honest. My friends are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I lived it.
We can't lie because the first thought that comes into our brain, we say, and that's odds are the truth.
Yeah. Well, and I've learned to say, like, would you not give your kids insulin because ADHD?
Oh, thank you.
Imbalance of brain chemistry, people. Like,
thank you.
It is an imbalance of brain chemistry.
Thank you.
You would give your kids insulin So you need to reframe it. It is not a high. It is not any of these things. We
Yeah.
need to learn to reframe it as we are balancing brain chemistry.
Yeah. I take 30 milligrams of Adderall to go to sleep.
Well, and that's why I'm like, it drives me crazy. I love pediatricians. They do so much for our kids. But if your kid breaks their arm, are you going to your pediatrician to set their arm?
Right. Right.
And parents kind of pause. Like, is this a trick question?
It's fascinating that you say that, actually, because in the last person I spoke with, I told the story about when I broke my right arm playing basketball. I'm a sports person. I'm a huge sports enthusiast. I actually work in sports. I've only had one job my whole life, and that is working in sports. And when I broke my right arm, I loved basketball at the time, and this was way back when I was in middle school or whatnot. So my dumbass goes out there and just starts shooting baskets left-handed. And now I can throw a football left-handed. I'm ambidextrous. My left hand is probably more dominant than my right because of that. The average person will say, I broke my arm. I'm done for a while. The ADHD person says, I still want to go out and play.
How will I work around it?
Right. And that resiliency to me it's just been ingrained in me, I guess, by my mom, who is very, she's a peculiar person, but she also found a movie that I liked, two movies, Superman and Karate Kid. And then when I would watch them over and over and over again, of course, because that's what some of us do, is we get one song in our head, we play it on repeat until it's over, all that. But she used to force me to wear a Superman cape to school. Force me. And she's like, you're going to get sent home by the principal because it's not the dress code. And I will pick you up every single time, put that cape back on you, and tell you to go back up there.
I think I want to meet your mom.
Yeah. And I'm going, but Mom, all the kids are making fun of you or making fun of me or whatnot. She goes, they won't later when you're the one that they confide in daily on their problems. We are people, if that makes sense. Like, we know, we are perceptive. We're empathetic. All of these things that we have are like the greatest, most epic story ever.
Yeah.
It's the bullshit crap that I can't do, which leads people to believe that I'm stupid when none of us are stupid. It's just different.
Oh, no, we think differently. We solve problems differently.
Right. How about paper plates instead of washing dishes? How about that? There we go. Boom. Done.
Right? Yeah, exactly that. I mean, my silverware drawer, my kids struggle to remember how to set the table. So most people set up their drawer to fit in those little, like, their silverware to fit in those like placeholders for silverware.
Yeah.
Bought one and I have it adjusted. My silverware drawer is set up so that it is like, if you take it out and you were to like set it on a table, it's set up to make setting the table easy because it's in that order.
Perfect. That sounds like Waffle House. I used to take the fork, knife, and spoon from Waffle House. They had it in one package. And I was like, can you give me 5 of these? And so all I had to do was put one thing on the table and now we can eat. I think a lot of people, they get too wrapped up in what's like nice and, we eat off this or eat off that or whatever, when the bottom line is, for ADHD, in my opinion only, and I'm not a professional like you and Dorsey, I am not. I'm just a kid that likes to talk about it. Is basically, if it works, it works.
Kid.
Yeah, hey, I will always be a kid. I'm 41 years old. I'm going to be a kid till the day I die. Like that's again another advantage. How many movies? It's like, well, if you had that childlike enthusiasm, you know, at this age, and blah blah blah, and it's like, well. That's what we'd actually have. I don't like all
fun.
Right. Like all these things that people say about ADHD and granted, it is a massive disorder, especially with finances, I think, because it's, you just keep putting quarters in the gumball machine till you get the red one, kind of thing. And that can be a problem. But the ADHD brain says, I'm going to marry someone that's really good at finances. That's my wife. She's fantastic at it. I just hand it over to her and that's it.
You knew what you needed to accommodate, and you made sure you did when you chose a partner.
Right. Well, and that, and also, yeah, I mean, she's got to be hot and all that. I get that. But like, she also needs to have some sort of financial sense.
Yeah.
And because I've never understood the way that money works. I haven't. And it's been at a detriment to me.
But I also think that we've not made it easy, because really the world operates right now because it's all electronic. It's all, Venmo, PayPal. We've made our money monopoly money. So our kids don't really know what money is. They don't work in cash. They've never balanced a checkbook. We've taken all of that away in how we now operate, and that we don't teach any of it in schools. And when we do that, parents who have ADHD, the statistics are insane crazy. I never remember them. I always have to look them up. I should have maybe looked them up before.
No, you're totally good.
Right? Like, so I could actually state it. But but we put all these expectations on parents. Well, you have a parent who has ADHD. They probably didn't learn it because they grew up in a household. It wasn't reinforced. So we've taken that out of the schools going, oh, parents can just teach it.
Yeah.
They don't know it. They can't teach it. So now we live in a society.
Oh, Mandy, yes. Yes.
We took all these things that are desperately needed out of our schools.
Oh my God, that's okay.
If we actually taught
yes, Mandy,
accounting, basic accounting, and home economics, which the two of them teach so much executive function in a way in which kids actually get it.
God, you're smart.
You actually apply it. When you teach a kid, so I coach out of my house. I love when I get to work with kids in the summer because we make things. We make basic things. My favorite is just making tater tots with kids, because it's we're going to make tater tots.
I just had those an hour ago from the
But asking a kid to take them out, and now what are we going to do? We're going to bake them. Okay. But walking them through the basic of that, what are we going to eat them with? Your pick, fork, toothpick. They have to think that through. They have to think, are we seasoning them? Wow. What toppings do you want? Do you want to dip them in something? But making them think through all of that and timing of just that simple thing teaches them executive function.
Incredible. That's absolutely, oh, Jesus.
And when we add in baking something, and I make them bake it from scratch, they have to do measuring. They have to know, do we have all the things?
Brilliant.
It's a skill they need for life, but it teaches them so much executive function.
Yeah. And I think an aside to that would be that it's interesting, for me at least, for my particular case of ADHD, because we're all different. If I don't get to know the person with it, I can't do anything to help. I've got to get to know the human as a human being first before I can even, because if there's this set of things that's well, this is going to work and this is going to work. No. I have my strategy that wouldn't work for 90% of people, but it works for me. So so I do it. But unless you get to know the individual, you can't do shit to help them. And that's what you are doing right now as a coach, is getting to know the person first.
Oh, and I love it because people it's funny, even among coaches, they're like, you coach kids, you gotta be a little crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I will admit, because I coach 6-year-old twins over Zoom during COVID. It takes a little bit of crazy. Yeah. Because you are getting kids to cooperate, but it is so amazing to work with kids because anybody who coaches, like the rule of thumb, client brings the thing, they solve the problem. But when you get kids talking about what they love,
Oh my God.
I had a kiddo who he ran. He was a runner from the classroom,
Right.
but he loved rhinoceroses. People who know anything about rhinoceroses, they charge. And they also love watering holes. So we used imagery. We talked about, did he want to be a charging rhinoceros or not?
Good Lord, that's brilliant.
But it came from the kiddo. So he bought into whether he wanted to charge or not.
Lobau Spark is proudly supported by Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. It is now also supported by 14 anonymous supporters. And I understand that completely. I know I can swear and all that kind of shit. If you want to support it and be anonymous, I get it. I get it. Whether you want to be mentioned by name or remain anonymous, this podcast does not exist without all of you. And I love you.
And it is teaching kids about awareness, just like adults don't always know when they get stressed and dysregulated.
Yeah.
Kids need to know it too. So helping kids recognize when they do, it's getting teachers to help and do simple things in the classroom.
Yeah.
And it was her noticing and her asking instead of saying, and it's all about language. Just like as adults, we hate when someone says, do you think maybe you need to calm down? Like,
oh my God,
I
will flip the fuck out if someone tells me that.
Exactly. So instead of her saying, maybe you should get a drink of water, she goes, do you need to go to the watering hole? Simple changes of language, getting teachers to buy in.
This is so true.
He thought about going to the watering hole and that he needed to shake things out.
That's
a reactive thing that if we can shake off our tension.
Yeah.
Scientifically.
See, and that's so I'm going to give two shout outs right now. Number one is to my 10th grade teacher in high school, John Howard. He brought me aside one day after class, and he's like, he was also my football coach. So keep in mind, we have a bond with sports, but not with academics, because I didn't give a rat's ass about any of that stuff. And what he told me that this is so incredible what you're saying is he goes, you know what, Lobel, you're probably not going to be successful in this environment because my boss's 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 boss, makes me do this. He goes, so I'm going to test you in a different way. We're just going to talk. You and I.
Accommodated your brain.
Right. Fast forward, let's see, 30 years later, my boss right now, which I have had one boss, one job at the same company for 18 years. And the reason that is because when I told him I'm not going to meetings, I cannot sit still in meetings where people are going around in circles and not getting anything accomplished. I don't sit around the fucking water cooler and gossip. When I get to work, you won't even know I'm there, but I will produce results greater than you have ever seen if you let me make my own schedule. And he goes, well, this is a huge risk, but I'll cover for you. He did. And slowly but surely, I got promoted year after year after year after year because I cared about the people that worked for me. I treated them as friends, not as, oh, I'm your boss or whatever. I hate the word boss. I hate the word guest. I hate the word, no, if you're working with me, then you're working with me, not as my subordinate. So now I don't know half the shit these kids do that are, doing the job. And but you don't have to have that as a leader. I think ADHD people make incredible leaders if you give them the ability to lead their way. And if you don't, and you put them in that box of oh, be here from 8 to 5. Well, but
Yeah, because we collaborate. We take our strengths, we see other people's strengths,
right.
and build on them.
That's what we're interested in. But if you put an ADHD person in a box of, if you're not here by 8 and you leave 1 minute before 5 p.m., I mean, let's be honest. How many jobs actually, from 8 to 5, really? Like I've noticed
Unless
this.
you're a teacher and you need to be there to greet your students at 8 o'clock.
Well, okay.
And
okay.
most teachers are there way earlier to get their job done.
Yeah, hell yeah, they are. And that's, but school doesn't last till 5 p.m. And I'm talking about the workforce. The workforce is 8 to 5. I get my job done in 3 hours every day. And then I come back and do a podcast because I have the ability to go in and not bullshit around and go directly to what the job is for that day. And then when that task is over, I'm out. I'm not going to sit there twiddling my thumbs over shit that doesn't matter.
No, it clouds our brain.
Right. And so when I was in one meeting that went a little bit overtime, that my boss was running, what he did was he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, Lobau, don't you have another meeting to go to?"
I love it.
Knowing that I was like, I can't do this, because I had told him from day one, my threshold for meetings is 32 minutes and 13 seconds. Anything longer than that, and I'm not listening to anything at all. And he believed in me so much that he said, when that meeting went over, he's like, "Lobau, go to another meeting. Don't you have another meeting at track or at football or, whatever it is?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, actually I do. Sorry about this, whatever." And then I just left and went home. And he knew that. He was giving me the escape that I needed, which is what you were talking about previously is, don't you need to go to the watering hole? That's such a massive thing for people, I think, is the ability to go to the watering hole. Like, go work it out your way. Don't force me to just sit here with mind-numbing tasks, because if you give me the ability to leave, I will come back in spades later. You got to give me the opportunity to figure it out. And that's most people don't give people that opportunity.
And what they don't realize is when we reach that point, we leave our frontal cortex and go to our limbic system. We're in no good.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the whole thing with momentum. It's like, if you're building momentum constantly and then one thing goes wrong, your momentum is cut. Most people say, okay, someone texted me, my spouse asked me to clean the dishes or do this or whatever. What they don't realize is that, like, if we stop in that moment while we're actually getting shit done, we might not ever return to it.
Oh yeah, we talk about it as being in the flow. You disrupt the flow, we're done. We have to the amount of effort to re-engage.
Oh yes.
So it's that. It is like, we are in the flow. You took me out of the flow. You're going to get a really big reaction sometimes because of how much effort that transition into is. And it's not just the flow, but what they don't realize is the effort it takes us to re-upload the information. And it's like, there's this whole thing. It's like, okay, I got to do the thing. How much effort, cognitive load is it taking? Is it an easy thing? It's a hard thing. Some things are so hard for us. And the effort it took for us to get into it and like access that database, that like card catalog in our brain to get there. Now I'm there. Now I'm finally initiated. And now you like put the hard brakes on. I'm going to be so irritated with you. You stopped it. And now not only was I there finally, but now to re-access my card catalog in my brain to get back to where I was and remember where I was, you have no idea what you have done.
100%.
It is that they just don't understand. It is that.
Yeah, it is. I was cleaning the outside porch the other day, and basically, I've said this a million times, but my wife asked me, like, what is the best thing I can do to get you to do these tasks? And I go, leave the house when I'm doing them. I was like, just go shopping, leave. And the reason that is because I know her well enough to know that if I'm doing really, really well and I'm focused on something, well, why don't you use this cleaner? Oh, here's this garbage bag. Oh, why don't you use... No, fuck no. I will lose it and not return if you do that.
And my 23-year-old lives with me, and he's learned that when he comes home at night from work, if I say no, and he keeps talking, I go, no.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm not interested. It is I am in the middle of something for work.
Yeah.
And he's just got to stop.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
I am going to just, otherwise I'm not going to be a very nice mama. And I am going to lose it. And then I'm going to even be more irritated because I have lost where I am.
I'm going to make my wife watch this episode on repeat. But I will say this. This was a hell of a tangent. This is how this always goes. And I love it.
It's a real thing. But I also, like, it's one of the things I always talk to parents about one of the first times. I'm like, you want chores done? And they're like, yeah. I go, it is about the ask. And they're like, what?
Oh, yes.
So, the ask. Do not go in their room in the middle of them doing homework and do an ask. You have to do the ask at point of transition. Meaning,
there we go.
Is it important enough that garbage goes out, or can it wait till after dinner? And you ask them as dinner finishes, hey, garbage needs to go out. They are in emotion at the end of a task. It is, they're going to grumble. They're kids. They don't want to ever take out the trash. It's a given. That is developmentally appropriate. Nothing to do with ADHD. But they are more likely to take the trash out and go, sure, okay, after the grumbling ends, because they are in transition at the end of an already finished, wrapped up task.
Okay. I love that. I do want to bring one thing up about that, though, is do you think, as a professional in this field, so for me, particularly, and I know it sounds selfish, but like this is the way I have to ask it, is like if I'm asked to take out the trash and I'm in the middle of something, it's not that that's going to cripple me if you follow it up with saying like it can wait till later, but nothing can wait till later in my mind. So like just even the fact of bringing it up, now I'm going to do it immediately. But if I do it immediately, then I might not return to that other thing. And that's what's been so hard is like, oh, hey, when convenient, will you do this? You've already put the thought in my head. So now I have to do it immediately. And so, that's it.
Yeah. And
because it'll be in the back of my mind, so I can't focus on what I'm actually doing at the time.
So so for that, like knowing that, and that's a communication thing. So you upon told, because it's a working memory thing. If you don't do, you won't remember.
Right.
So would it work better for you to have a routine of certain days trash goes out, or a cue, like, okay, you're getting done with dinner and it's part of cleanup, and then you don't get asked, so you're not interrupted.
Absolutely.
So like, how can you build in, and I talk about routines, not habits, because we hear the word habit and we go, ugh.
Nope, not going to happen.
Right. And so it's like, what habits can you create that build off another one that make it easier to do so that they start to happen? And if it doesn't happen, cool, great. You start over tomorrow. Yeah,
it will be, because I feel like at the very end of the day, what we don't do ultimately doesn't mean shit. It's what we actually do that matters. And in our best qualities, are the things that ultimately matter in life. Our worst qualities are the things, the mundane, the simple, the this. But you pile up enough simple tasks that you failed at, that can become a massive, but problem. But I've never met someone with ADHD, not once ever, that what they sucked at ultimately mattered in life.
Right.
All I saw was that they were empathetic and loving and passionate and all these kind of things. And I'm going, well, what the fuck do you want on your tombstone? You want the things you can't do well on there, like these minute bullshit things? Or do you want, what does it say? Was loved by all, was passionate about this, was, whatever. It
Sucked
never
at
says, right.
not
It
gonna be
doesn't
what it
say
says.
sucks at garbage. Like that doesn't happen.
But so part of what I do when I work with families is like, how do we set up routines that make things easy?
Yeah.
Like, how do we help you not work so hard, even at things like the garbage? Like, where is the garbage placed in the kitchen? Or how is the kid's bedroom set up for success?
Right.
And where is the Post-it note that prompts you to remember it? And in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to have to move that Post-it note or change the color because you won't see it. And that is not a failure of your system. That is your brain is bored and it needs to move so you see it again.
Yeah.
The system has not failed. Your mind gets bored. We need to change it slightly, not reinvent the wheel, just simply change it a little bit so the system continues to work.
My wife and I do treasure hunts for the trash. So it's kind of like hiding Easter eggs. So basically on Tuesday, which is when the trash comes, it's a game to me. She hides the trash bag that I need to find or whatever around the property. So now I'm engaged. And then I find the trash bag and I'm like, yes, I fucking put it in the trash can. Now I can take the trash can up the goddamn hill. Like, because I'm proud of it.
She's learned to gamify something that's boring.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a big thing. And in terms of how do you create a child's bedroom to, engage their...
This is the question I ask parents to get them to understand.
Yeah.
I ask the mom, if your husband, or if like whatever the situation is, but the female, I say, if your significant other were allowed to redo your get ready space, meaning your makeup, your hair products, and you had to live with that, how would that work for you? And they get this look of horror. And they're like, no. I go, but that's what you're asking your kiddo to do when they have no input in their bedroom and you want them to maintain it.
Yeah. I do. God, I would kill for you to meet my mom. I got held back twice, actually. The same old thing of I couldn't be bothered with anything that didn't ultimately matter. And it was, again, that teacher, John Howard, that said, you know what, you skip a lot of tests to go party. And I was like, yeah, I do. He goes,
I don't know why. They were too hard.
Well,
easy route.
Right. But what he said was, but years from now, you're never going to remember the test you failed, but you will remember those people that you went to the party with. Truth be told, 30 years later, I have a very, very large group of friends. And that is another thing that I harp on so much is I think that friendship, genuine friendship, at the end of the day, can help mental health more than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I am where I am and I'm successful and all that is because I had fucking 20 people caring about me all the time that knew me. Not my ADHD, they just knew me. Like
my 21-year-old, he had 5 friends that he has played video games with for the last 5 years.
Right.
That came in from all over the country to celebrate his 21st.
Oh, that is so cool. See, that's
me, like, he is a kid who struggled with mental health, who he's been hospitalized because it has been so hard.
Yeah.
And yet, these are some of the kids that he reached out to who have supported him. And I hear parents who are like, they only have friends online. I'm like, but do they talk to him every day?
Right.
They play, like,
Right.
we can't take away their video games. We need to figure out how to help them understand that their job is school. How do we help them make school easier? How do we get them accommodations? How do we get to help them learn a balance between gaming and school?
Yeah.
How do we help them make school easier? What do we need to do to make that thing that is so incredibly hard and taxing on their brain?
Yeah.
What do we as parents and other people in their lives do to advocate for them so that they get that reward? It is a reward. They need that reward in order to continue to have any kind of success at school. They need play. That is their play, and we need them to have it. We need to learn to stop denying play, whether they are 5,
100%.
they are 10, they are 15, whether they are 30. We need play in our lives in order to be successful when we have ADHD.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. That was motivational as shit.
We do that. As adults, we deny ourselves play. We're like, well, I just need to do this thing. I need the dishes done. I need the laundry done. We need play or our brains shut down. We need that dopamine all the time. We take our meds. Great. It balances our dopamine. But we need to figure out, like, one of the things as coach you learn to ask an adult is, okay, you did the hard. What is your reward?
Right.
How are you rewarding yourself after you do the hard thing? Whether it's balancing the bills, whether it's managing to get groceries every week. Those are really hard things. Grocery shopping, oh my gosh, so much executive function.
I can't go into a grocery store. My sensory issues, like, everything looks the same. Like,
part of how I ended up with my diagnosis, which we didn't finish that story. My kids.
Right, there we go. Now we're back.
Right? I'm like, I got to go back there. But my kids were diagnosed. My ex-husband was diagnosed. And I went to coaching school. I hated my job. Hated it. I was like, I cannot keep doing this. They asked me what I liked about my job. I job shared. My job share person left. My boss left. I had all these responsibilities of what was a part-time job, which was so not part-time. Even though I had tons of flexibility, I could work at home, I could set my hours, still hated it. They said, what do you really like about your job? They gave me all this shit. Like, literally. Like, why? What? And I went, I can't do this. I had volunteered tons in my kids' school. And I sat and did a lot of thinking about what are the things I really, really like. And I was like, I can't teach. That's never going to happen. Right. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be in a classroom with kids. But I had spent a ton of time volunteering, helping the kids who struggled to read. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't do that. I can't decipher phonics. I can't hear them. It's part of my dyslexia. So I'm like, that's not it. And I had all these families like ask for help and support. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I help with my kids' dyslexia? What do I do about this? I had actually coached without realizing I was coaching because my oldest panicked about going to middle school and how am I going to manage? Yeah. And had created a system, it was binder system, to keep track of homework. And it was an idea of an in and out box at the front of it and separating all of his classes in the back, because I love teachers, but our system is not set up for kids who struggle to organize at all. And they teach to the bell, which is not how life is run. If you are ever in a meeting, the meeting ends with anybody have questions, everybody know what they're going to do. That is not how we run our classrooms. And we so need to change that so that kids have time to ask questions, pause at the end of their class, take a breath, and make sure everybody knows what truly is going on and that there is that pause. But that teachers have to teach to the bell because of the way classes are, because teachers struggle with time management in the classroom because of how big our classes are, all of these things. It's not how classrooms are run. Kids are shoving things in their binders because the bell is rung, the teacher's still handing things out. Anybody with any kind of struggle.
Your passion is infectious, Mandy.
I
love this.
Crazy. And so I created a system for my son. The learning specialist at the school, next thing I know, I have like 30 kids she wants me to talk to. And so I was like, I wonder if I can do something with that. I found a school that was creating a family program and went to coaching school. I got done and I was reading Sari Solden's book. And
it goes back to the book.
Oh, this is me. It's about grocery shopping. It's about all these things of overwhelm and how it's different in females. And I was like, And I made an appointment at my psychiatrist's office and with the therapist. And I was like, I have ADHD. She's like, no, you're the executive function for your family. Really? And she went through and she's like, we missed it.
Well, it's because you care about your family. That's why you had executive function. It's because you cared.
Well, and it was because how mine presents is different. It's an overwhelm. I had systems. It was the coping skill I had adapted growing up to cope with the ADHD that was in my household, that it is in my family. But like, I laugh because like, that's what that was. That's why mom always ran out of gas. That's why all these things. Like,
when was the last time you you filled your tank up with gas? Like, actually waited for the entire car to be filled up with gas. I haven't done that in my entire life. $5 here, $10 here, $20.
My dad had this thing, like, don't ever let it get less than a quarter tank of gas in the winter. Like, that was a thing. I still, like, that is still a thing. I never let it get that low. It drives me crazy if my kid has my car and I get in it. But now, like, for me, it's like, because I have ADHD, I can't do that because I might be going somewhere and I don't have enough gas.
No, you're smart on that. That's very smart. I have not learned the art of not being able to stop. I have an hour commute to work, on the days that I go in, which are maybe twice a week because my boss gives me leniency and flexibility to do things my way. So it works. But on those days, I'm like, all right, I'll just put in $5 to get to work. And then I'll put in $5 on the way home because it gives me a break. It gives me a break from the drive.
Right. But that panic of going, hey, Siri, hopefully it doesn't go, where's the closest gas station? And then trying to find it and going, you suck, Siri, because that's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to get your phone to navigate for you and it not working, and then you panicking more. Like, it's a whole thing. So I have learned to like just not let it get that low because that just does me in. That triggers my ADHD in a bad way. Like, nope, it's the thing I work really hard not to do.
Good for you. Good for you, because I saw the Seinfeld episode where they just kept driving and I'm like, how can I beat this today? Like, how could I be like, I'm more of a competitive, I guess, aspect, but everyone's different. And
that's I've had 2 kids in travel soccer and often had a half of a soccer team in my car. I'm like, no, we're not, that is gonna just, and like, I managed the soccer team. Like, I was like that mom. Like, I was so hyper organized. I managed 2 travel soccer teams at the same time. Like,
I love it. So you're like the ultimate soccer mom ever.
Oh God. And I had it before there were like the apps. Like, oh yeah, it was like insane. Because when people are like, you have ADHD, no, you don't. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. I just was like hyper organized, and like, that was the thing. If my system fell apart,
it was, but you mentioned earlier, or a little bit ago, that like finding the strategy or the room for the kid that you have and whatnot. So I think, I guess my mom read me well enough, and I'm adopted, by the way, was adopted from birth. It was just one of those, one to the next, thing. And I'm great with that. Like, I love family beyond conscionable thought. I've been given every advantage possible. And what she did when I got held back was she goes, okay, we're going to create, I'm actually going to call him out here. His name was Chuck Harmon. He was the academic dean of this prestigious high school I went to. And the football coaches had said, you can't hold him back. Like, just do your fucking job and care about the kid. That's what sports showed me, is that caring about people actually works. What I didn't realize was that he tried to kick me out for academic failure and whatnot. And then I just walked right into his office and I said, hold me back. Just hold me back. Don't kick me out. Hold me back, because I have a lot of relationships here with people that I love. I don't give a fuck how long it takes me. If I have to provide alcohol at age 21 for all these 17-year-old kids, graduate, I'm going to do it. So get my fucking ass back in here. And he was like, well, we can't do that. You're best suited elsewhere. And I was like, all right, well, let me prove it to you. I'll make you a deal. I will make the honor roll the first semester that you enroll me. After that, I can't promise you anything. But the first semester, I will make the honor roll. If I do that, you have to keep me. And he goes, okay, fair. So then my mom bought this calendar and put it as my wallpaper in my room. And every day it said, fuck you, Harmon. Fuck you, Harmon. Fuck you, Harmon. So every day that I got home and I was pissed off, I slashed through it. That helped a lot. But I think it's a detriment, though. I think honesty is also a major thing with the upbringing. Is like, if school really, I know the stats on it, but like, if school isn't for you and you truly can't do it, why do it? Like I know the stats are, you are 99% more likely to make a lot of money and whatnot. But what does the ADHD person do? They say, fuck the stats. I'm going to go after what I love. And I think that that's not taught enough. And I just want to get your opinion on that, because
Do you mean like college, or do you mean?
There has to be a basic foundation for education, which high school, I barely got through that. I think but college is what I'm talking about. Like, I spent so many years wasting my life away in college.
So there's a bigger push now that kids don't need to go and get a 4-year degree.
Right.
And we're seeing more kids go to trade schools, which is awesome. Right. So discombobulated. It is called A New You, Faster, Cheaper Alternatives to College, is one that I have. I know there's a couple others, but it talks about, calls out the admin that they get way more money than the professors ever do, is one of the things it does. But it talks about, like, why? When I went to school, I'm 50. So, like, when I went to school, we were like one of the generations where our degrees mattered. Like, we got a college degree, it got us a job. It really mattered.
Yeah.
But since then, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And that's...
Get that degree and okay, cool. So does every Joe Schmo on the block.
Right. So now you need a master's and then a post this and a post that, or whatever. Like,
vanity of the cost.
Oh, the cost is insane.
My son, my 23-year-old, started out at Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland. He direct enrolled. It's truly what he wanted. He enrolled in their law program. You get straight out your law degree, you practice. It didn't work because they don't accommodate for ADHD, really. He got an extra 10 minutes on his exams. It also was in the middle of COVID. The first year we lost my sister. The second year we lost my mom. It was just
Jesus
kind of a
Christ,
shit
Mandy.
show.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I
That's
do appreciate
awful.
it. It's
In
just
1 year, you had to go.
no, the first year we lost my sister. The next year we lost my mom. The third year my ex decided he wanted a divorce.
Well, goddamn.
My friends look at me and they go, fucking shit.
Yeah. How are you this energetic? How are you this much fun? How are you with all these things that went on?
Because I have a choice. I could let that be bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
or I can use it to like have learned and have it make me a really fucking kick-ass coach.
That's what I'm talking about right there. I don't even have to ask you the last question now.
I mean, like,
that's so sick.
So
I love it.
I will tell you this. My ex told me he wanted a divorce the day after our youngest graduated high school.
Oh, that's a good timing. Nice work,
jackass. Wait till you
jackass.
actually hear the story. He said he was going to find a new place to live. He was due to come back to take our son to a grad party, and he wasn't reachable. The stupid motherfucker did not turn off his location services.
Of course.
I was able to track him to his fucking whore's house.
Good for you.
I had to then borrow the neighbor's car when our child went off the diving board so hard that he dislocated his nose, and I had to take him to the ER. So my ex worked for my family for my family's company for 21 years. The whore, she was still working for my family's company when I found out.
Yeah. Okay.
I built in my backyard a Target. I'll let you follow what you're drinking. I throw axes.
I chop firewood every day.
I throw axes and knives for fun.
That's
before I started the pinball machine.
That's fantastic. The reason that I chop firewood every single day is because no log is the same. So the way I swing has to change. It's dangerous enough, but it's not like I'm going out and chopping down trees. All I do is when people take down trees and put them at the end of their street, I just grab those, throw them in the back of the pickup truck, unload them, and then start hacking away. That's my exercise. I'm not going to a fucking gym. I'm not going to do any of these things. This is fun for me. It changes every day because guess what? The wood stack gets bigger and bigger every day. Even if it's just one log, it improves something in my mind that says, I got better today.
So throwing axes, you actually have to be very self-regulated.
Yeah. So I have to meet you immediately. So there's
I actually have some clients, two teenage girls I'm going to throw axes with.
Hell yes.
That's part of coaching.
Good
because
for you.
They are super dysregulated. So we're going to work on self-regulation, throwing axes.
Excellent. Oh my God, that is so cool.
And then now I will explain the pinball.
Yes, let's do the pinball.
So the guy working on my house noticed I was really struggling to connect with my son. And he heard him say that he played pinball. He's like, okay, here's the place you got to take him. And so I started playing pinball, which I grew up playing. I played in college. I started playing pinball with my 23-year-old. And I started thinking, there's got to be a way I can integrate pinball into my coaching. Because what is more ADHD than a pinball?
I love it more than anything already.
I mean, we got lights, we've got sound, we've got bumpers, we've got, if you do well enough, multi-ball. I mean, come on. Right there. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna do my first presentation ever to propose for conference. I started doing research. Pinball has been used to teach social skills for the first time for autism in 1967.
Wow.
Right? I was like,
Wow.
okay, what?
That blows my mind, actually.
Right? Yeah, I was like
I-
shocked.
Yeah.
Then it was used again, 10 years later with kids who were severely handicapped, again for social skills. There was a social scientist who was started out in Wisconsin and then went on to Cambridge and Harvard, who used it to study intrinsic motivation and goal setting.
Oh my God.
I was
Fantastic.
like, really?
How do they get behind these things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it has been used most recently in like 2022. I think the study was done regarding mental health and the community that it can be used, and how the community that forms when people who regularly play, the benefits that it has.
Right.
So I was like, okay, all of this. And those are like all scientific studies. And then there's
Right.
like all the like articles about dexterity, just the other things that you can find. And I was like, okay, I can use this as like the basis to create a program to help kids see how and feel pausing and other things to use it for coaching, but then show parents, because there's often this disconnect with kids like playing. Like parents are like, oh, homework, all these things.
Yep.
So teaching kids, showing kids, and then when I work with families, I always include parents. So about half my coaching practice is in person, half is online. So the families that I work with in person, they will get the benefit that I now have a pinball machine in my living room.
That is so
It was
cool.
delivered this week.
This week? Like literally
It
this
was delivered Thursday morning.
Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. You gotta love that. I mean,
yeah. So I've been waiting. It's been really cool. And like I've been waiting. And so he delivered it Thursday because my son was coming over Thursday night with his friends so that I could have
with
it
his friends. Huge.
for his 21st birthday. So
that's so awesome. That is so cool. All right. I do have to ask you one last question. I'm just the emotional guy here. Okay. Like, I don't know a goddamn thing. I just love talking to people and saying, hey, by the way, this is what you do well. So, in that same vein, what are you most proud of in your life? This cannot be your kids, your current, it has to be a characteristic within you that you are the most proud of, that is unique to you.
I would say my bravery.
Yes. Sorry. I liked that one. I haven't gotten that one yet.
I am not afraid to challenge authority, and especially for the underdog. We
Love the underdog.
we filed a human rights violation case against my son's school because they denied him his human rights. And one of the problems was the Catholic priest. And so he was misinformed. So I talked to him after Mass one day and informed him that he was misinformed, and he was still in his full garb from the service, and let him know that I had helped my son call his boss, the Archbishop, to leave a message about what was happening. And I convinced the secretary to actually allow my son in his own voice to leave the voicemail, because typically the secretary takes the message.
Well, of course. Yeah.
But called him out because the youth minister had brought in NAMI to do a presentation to the youth group. And the priest walked through and did not stay. And I let him know that I knew that. But my son came to the presentation knowing it was being done because of him.
Good for you.
And I gave him statistics on, the numbers and the likely number of families impacted by mental health. Because
it's a massive thing.
So often there is misinformation and there is misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And if we don't talk about it, the shame continues to exist.
Right.
And I just don't think that's okay. I also use my bravery that I educate families, and I don't hesitate to educate families about ADHD meds. And so often when I do, parents are like, there's that many meds available? I didn't know. Because they think about when we were kids and that ADHD meds made people zombies. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to be really vocal. And sometimes people are like, what? And
you can be as vocal as you fucking want on here.
Yeah. But too many families don't get that really ADHD is about brain chemistry.
Yeah.
And it is nothing to do with that we are lazy, we are dumb, we are stupid. It is not about bad parenting. And they need to know it really is about brain chemistry.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
Yeah. It's a separation from knowing what to do and doing it. And everyone else has this, like, I guess, a bridge where you know what to do and then you do it. We don't have that. But the best part about not having that is that we have to build it ourselves. So we don't take it for granted once it's built. We know all the shortcuts now. And now we can easily read other people in the way that their brain works because we have had to do the work ourselves. It wasn't provided for us. To me, that's a massive, massive quality to have when you have to put in the work and it's not provided. But the thing is, we struggle because all this other work that doesn't mean shit in life is presented to us that detracts us from building that goddamn bridge. So now we just stop building it. It's what I don't think people understand. It's take care of yourself, take care of yourself. But what if some of us, unless we take care of someone else, I need that. I need that.
Like, that's, I don't know where I'd be.
Right.
I love my job. My job is never the same. No family I help is ever the same.
Right.
But I love that I get to help kids understand their brains. I get to help families understand their kids. That every time I go into a school, I know there's a ripple effect, and that it means that a teacher might pause. They might pause and not say a dumb sentence that will impact a kid for the rest of their life. That an administrator might make an entire, department standardize how they do something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. You're helping the world understand this. And my thing is, at the very end of the day, if the quality is that helping yourself is only possible if you help someone else, what better fucking characteristic is there on this earth? That's ADHD. Mandy, I'm sorry. I love you. I love you. Like, this has been
great.
Fucking phenomenal.